So we'll move on now. Waracy for $5 says, let's hope Dwayne's dislike of Shazam will translate to good on-screen tension between the two characters. By the way, nice streams, Mr. H. So this takes us on to one of our last topics, which is interesting. Black Adam, Dwayne Johnson, Black Adam intrinsically linked to Shazam, has a thinly veiled disdain for Shazam franchise. What? Why? I mean, Black Adam is intrinsically linked. Why do you have a disdain for the Shazam franchise? Bizarre, right? Anyone think that's bizarre?
The only thing I can think of is he just doesn't like it because of its like lighthearted unseriousness kind of.
His movie had that tone as well.
See, I haven't seen Black Adam.
It was in the trailer, right? When that guy bops him on the head with the truncheon.
Oh yeah, I did see that
and
part in the trailer.
Flings him off into the sea. I mean, there's nothing else which is more serious in that interaction. That interaction is one piece from the film cut for the trailer. That is literally it. Bosh into the sky, and you're like, ha 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 ha. Like it's played for laughs. It's supposed to be funny, Like I get it that Shazam is funnier, but Shazam has more of a heart-to-heart for the sort of family values aspect, which I found very, very good in the original Shazam. I was one of those people that absolutely tore Shazam a new one. And I mean, I really tore it. When we first saw those images of Shazam, I was like, this is an absolute joke. This is terrible. This is awful. This is going to bomb. And I watched the film, and you know what? I was like, look, I was wrong, but I was also right. And what I mean by that was it does look stupid, but this is because it's a new corner of the DC universe. Because remember, at that time, it was all very serious, very gritty. Yeah. And I was like, how's that going to line up? And then it came out, and you're like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, in the context of what you were watching, it felt very disconnected from those films. It was its own thing within that universe, and it worked. And it was a good film, for the reasons of sending a good family message. This guy that was in foster care, trying to find his family. He goes to see his mother, doesn't this will, upsetting for him, etc., etc. Then finds out that, he can have family and love from his new foster family and those people around him that then obviously becomes the Shazam family, the team of them. And that's a solid message. We talk about messaging. That's a solid message. Outside of all this nonsense of you can be a fucking non-binary fairy, that very good. And I have a lot of praise for things like that. So, anyway, my point is I was wrong. But I don't get it. I don't get why you would want to make a Black Adam film, which is it's intrinsically linked and then like, and this is what he says, right? He says, an insider tells the Wrap, Safran needs to win over all the other filmmakers. He doesn't. He's in charge of them. And Dwayne Johnson's thinly veiled disdain for Shazam means he probably isn't loving the idea that his boss is now the guy that produces Shazam. Safran is pretty diplomatic, so I think he will pull it off, but it won't be easy. So we're already talking about tensions within DC, which does kind of...
Who is putting this out? Comic book movie? Okay.
Wrap. No, sorry, this is the Wrap. I went to the Wrap, but I can't. You need a membership. So
okay. So it's coming from the Wrap.
It was hidden behind a paywall. So the thing is, the thing is with this is you look at it and you're like, well, is this true or not? Right? Like,
I was gonna say, is there any proof that Dwayne Johnson has a?
Yeah. Well, so Johnson once saying he made the unpopular decision to pull Black Adam from Shazam now starts making more sense, as does his remarking that I really think that you should make Shazam make that movie on its own in that tone that you want, and I think we should separate Black Adam as well. I don't think that's really thinly. I don't think that's disdain. That just sounds like he's like, not only that, they're tonally different.
Yeah, because originally it was shot as an R-rated film. Shazam wasn't. I think that was part of the reason why, to be honest with you. I mean, now that's changed, but at that point, that could have been true. You also got to remember, this is also at a time where they were still resistant to Henry Cavill. I'm sure there was a reason for Dwayne Johnson not wanting the two to be so associated with each other in case he was able to work something out down the road. You know, like that's the thing. I mean, we don't know every in and out, but at the same time, I've not heard anything to make me feel like he has some disdain for the franchise or anything like that. But I mean, I guess if it's coming from the rap, grain of salt, but maybe there's some truth to it.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of silly. Like you're looking at it, you're like, well, they're tonally different to a degree, not massively, because Black Adam still has that funny aspect, but this sort of thinly veiled disdain, and this is the you know, they're like, it's almost trying to create like an unnecessary drama where there doesn't need
exactly
to be,
because thinly veiled disdain. I mean, unless somebody says I don't like it. I mean,
yeah, what does that even mean?
That's up to your interpretation, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, moving forward with Shazam, I mean, all those kids are going to be older. They're going to be, you know, it's sort of like, you know, when you get a new car, you know, you just like love it and you're giddy about it, and then after a while, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just a car. So the characters from Shazam, they had just gotten those powers and stuff, and so they're all giddy and funny about it, you know. And as time jumps, you know, it could be a more serious type characters and not such a family sort of lightheartedness to those characters, you know, when they involve them in these other projects also.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that so I wouldn't want them to change those characters on their own, but you're right there. What you said at the end is, you know, if they're going to be interacting with the other projects, you can change their tone, right? Like, of course you can. You can change the tone of those characters in other projects because they're interacting with tonally more serious individuals. So they step up, just like a child or, you know, a teenager. Sorry, well, still a child, isn't it? A teenager, you know, surrounded by adults, they act more mature. So they tonally change themselves. Yeah. So it could be a similar aspect moving forwards, but I wouldn't want them to change themselves for their individual projects because I think Shazam's good as it is. Just keep it as it is, that sort of lighthearted fun. I think that's fine. But I thought that was an interesting. I don't know, just interesting. It just seems to be making drama where there doesn't need to be it. And the topic of, you know, Safran is the producer of Shazam, and, you know, he's being pretty diplomatic, but, you know, Dwayne he's not happy that his new boss is, you know, super into it. It's like, well, why would he not? Why would he not be? Like, what are we talking about? It's just weird.
Unless it's like manager, you know, like him and his company, those are the Garcias.
Yeah.
Dwayne's people and Saffron had, you know, bumped heads before on some production, you know, project, possibly.
I don't think they have. But I don't think they've ever interacted.
Well, this to me is like seems like
maybe. Sorry to interrupt. Maybe this
No. I was just saying this seems also just kind of a little competitive, like, you know, whining.
Well, so that's what I was going to say. Maybe this is because Dwayne saw the power vacuum. No one was in charge of DC. No one was really there, you know, until it was announced. And he was trying to do that. And there's a bit of saltiness, I guess.
Well, we do know that
saltiness from. Go ahead, Tom. Sorry.
Well, he did do an interview recently that we used for our video where he points out all the problems behind the scenes for years, basically in so many years. It wasn't thinly veiled either. He was just kind of, you know, giving it as compressed version of it as he could. You know, and he basically summed it up as it took him 6 years to get to this point. And a lot of this was
15 years, wasn't it?
Well, more than that, yeah, but like 16 or 6 years in this incarnation, let's say.
So maybe in those 15 years, there was maybe Safran was a part of that, and then went sour. That happens all the time. And now he's my boss. Oh shit!
I think they're equating two things that don't have anything to do with the other. I think Mr. H is right, and then you got the other side of it is this thinly veiled disdain for Shazam. Maybe he just didn't like the first fucking movie.
Well, what I was going to say with that competitive nature too is that, well, maybe you're not going to make as much as Shazam because it don't look like you're gonna right now.
Yeah, well, it looks like they'll round out about the same. To be fair,
yeah, and actually, it had a pretty good drop off. Not too bad. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I was just going to say, and also let's be honest here, the Rock has not really been one to shy away from drama or speaking exactly what he thinks. So the fact that we haven't heard him actually come out and say anything, if he really had an issue, he'd probably be like, I don't want to be involved with this fucking thing. I hate it. It's stupid. Like he's that type of person that's just going to throw it out there. Yeah, because he's done it in the past so many times. So the fact that we haven't actually heard him say something, directly negative about it, maybe there's not really a whole lot there. Maybe it's more like what Tom was saying. He just really didn't like the first movie, but it's not really anything major, one way.
Another thing could be he knew where the wind was blowing, and at that time, you got to remember when these decisions would have been made. Maybe he didn't want, his character be tainted too much, and he was using it as a bargaining chip to get Cavill back. Who knows? We don't know, and that's what I'm saying. This interpretation of this coming from a source has a lot of editorializing in it, I would say.
Yeah, no, I think that about sums it up, to be honest. I just thought it'd be an interesting talking point and interesting timing as well. It comes out second week of Black Adam's release. Is that sort of do we believe it?
Could be true, but
yeah.